Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jens Tülsner. We as Marine Medical Solutions close the gap between medical care and shipping. As various other industries, even the shipping industry is tremendously affected by the current COVID-19 pandemic. And it is reason enough to take a scientific approach as much as possible yet to get an idea about what are the best measures and how to deal with. That's why I'm very pleased to have been able to make an appointment today with Dr. Irit Nachtigall, who is a specialist in infective diseases and infective disease prevention. And she is taking a lot of responsibility in the Helios group for doing a lot of conceptual work, how to cope with the situation, what measures to be implemented, how to deal with patients. And on top of all of that, she has just recently published a tremendously interesting study about the results of medical care and intensive care of patients having got sick with COVID-19. We know each other for 25 years. We have worked in several hospitals together, and Irit, even in advance, thanks a lot for having taken the time and for let us participate in your experience and knowledge. As said, you just have published the recent study. Can you tell us something about what has been the main focus and the main outcome out of your investigations?
Main focus was whether we did better in our hospitals than in the rest of the world. We all know that Germany did in one way better than other countries in the world, but our focus was to see whether we do better when our Germans go to hospital. And we see in our study that we have the same mortality rate when people are ill enough to go to hospital. There's no difference in mortality rate and rate of ventilation and all those things. But we do better when with the things that we keep our patients healthy enough that they don't have to go to hospital.
Indeed, as you can imagine, I'm very much interested in what consequences that will contain for enclosed populations. As you know, I'm majorly dealing with ships, but I think that applies very much the same to buses or trains. Do we have any recommendations with regards to those populations?
As in our population, as in other populations, there are some people that are at higher risks than the others. These are older people, men more than women, those with comorbidities like diabetes, lung disease, or hypertonus. So if you are only old, that you don't have a problem. But if you are old and have comorbidities, maybe you should keep a better eye on yourself and take care a little more, or maybe you don't take a ship this year. Maybe you take the ship when you have a vaccination or whatever, or medications to heal.
Again, when we talk about ships, there are those having medical stuff, but the majority of ships don't have so. Would you have any recommendations in mind what to use as first treatment and say in case you have somebody getting a respiratory sick and are suspicious on COVID-19? You know there are several substances in discussions like steroids, like antiviral drugs, non-steroids, aprotinine. Any recommendations you could share with us?
As you just said, right, it's in discussion. We don't know enough to really recommend medication, and especially not if you don't have a doctor on the boat. You shouldn't give anything. You should go to the next harbor. Tell the people in the harbor that you're coming with someone who is maybe having COVID or for sure having COVID. If we have rapid testing, then you know that it's COVID, and go to the harbor and give him to the next doctor. If you are not a doctor, you shouldn't give anything. Maybe it's remdesivir for the doctors that you should keep if you have a doctor on the boat. If you don't have a doctor on the boat, don't touch anything.
Okay, that would immediately bring on the table the issue or the option of vaccination. Do you expect vaccination being the solution of the problem? And or whom would you vaccine first?
Vaccination is part of the solution, but only part, because it will take a while till we have vaccinated enough people, and we don't know when the vaccination comes. And we don't know whether it works for lifelong or if it works only for a year like influenza and the mutation of the virus is too strong, so you need to vaccinate the people time and time again. Whom I would first vaccinate is first the old people, the medical staff, and the children. The old people because they are at highest risk, the medical staff because I need them to care for the ill, and the young people to protect the old because they come together, grandchildren with grandparents, and we know if you vaccinate the grandchildren, you protect the grandparents.
By now we have covered 2 of 3 chains. We have covered the medication and vaccination, so what remains is indeed the testing. We do have the PCR still as a golden standard, but we do have available on the market yet the rapid antibody testing and either quite newly the rapid antigen testing. Everybody is seeking a situation where the risk is brought to its minimum. Would you have any recommendation for us how to combine testing to get this goal approached?
For your ship solution, I would do a PCR test in the beginning, so you have the gold standard, and do it longest 70 hours before the ship leaves. And if people go on the ship, you do a rapid test. The rapid tests are not that sensitive and not as good as a PCR, but if you have a lot of virus in your throat, then they probably are good enough for rapid testing. So you have 2 steps. The antibody testing is not really useful because it only tells if somebody had contact with the virus. So you don't need that anymore because it doesn't tell you anything how the viral load is at the moment. If it's gone or if the people are still, we know that people can get reinfected. We don't know anything about that only from testing antibodies. So I would do a 2-step for shipping or for tourist industry.
Last not least, a little speculation. What do you envision? Will we reach a situation where we get back to what we have considered normal before? Or do we have to take some kind of change in mind to adjust to something new normal?
Everybody is waiting for the old normal again. I don't know whether we ever reach that, but it doesn't, we both are those who live in the situation, and you can only deal with the situation. Maybe we come back to another normal. I don't think that we ever go to the old normal again, but we get a new normal, and that's what we are living in. And just look at the moment and deal with what's coming. We all don't know.
Thank you, Judith. It has been a pleasure. Again, thank you very much for your time and having shared all your knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Feel yourself invited to contact both of us in case you might have any further questions, and thank you very much again.